by placing a dot in the center of the circle. The Uyghurs added a smaller circle within, making it a double circle. Papyrus Anana. This is one of the most beautiful Egyptian writings that I have ever come across. Anana was the chief scribe and king's companion to the gentle Seti II about 1320 BC. Behold, is it not written in this roll? Read ye, who shall find in days unborn, if your gods have given you the skill. Read, O children of the future, and learn the secrets of the past, which to you is so far away, yet in truth is so near. Men do not live once, and then depart hence forever. They live many times in many places, though not always in this world. That between each life there is a veil of darkness. The doors will open at last, and show all the chambers through which our feet have wandered from the beginning. Our religion teaches us that we live eternally. Now, eternity having no end, can have no beginning. It is a circle. Therefore, if one be true, namely that we live on forever, it would seem that others must be true also, namely that we have always lived. To men's eyes, God has many faces, and each one swears that the one he sees is the only one true God. Yet they are all wrong, for all are true. Our cause, which are our spiritual self, show them to us in various ways, drawing from the infinite well of wisdom that is hidden in the being of every man, gives us glimpses of the truth, as they give us, who are instructed, power to work marvels. The spirit should not be judged by the body or the god by his house. Among the Egyptians, the scarabaeus beetle is no god, but a symbol of the Creator, because it rolls a ball of mud between its feet and sets therein its eggs to hatch, as the Creator rolls the world around, which seems to be round, causing it to produce life. All gods send their gift of love upon this earth, without which it would cease to be. My faith teaches me more clearly perhaps than yours that life does not end with death, and therefore that love, being life's soul, must endure while it endures, the strength of the invisible tie that will bind two souls together long after the world is dead. The spirits or souls of one incarnation possibly may meet again in another incarnation, and may be drawn together as if by a magnet, but for what cause neither knows. Man comes into being many times, yet knows nothing of his past lives, except occasionally some daydream or thought carries him back to some circumstance of a previous incarnation. He cannot, however, determine in his mind when or where the circumstance occurred, only that it is something familiar. In the end, however, all his various pasts will reveal themselves. Figure 1 shows the original monotheistic symbol of the deity. Figure 2 shows a subsequent change made by the Nagas. Figure 3 shows a subsequent change made by the Uyghurs. Figure 4 is part of the headdress of some Egyptian gods. Figure 5 generally appears as a red sphere on top of pillars and monuments to the dead. The foregoing suns are all the monotheistic symbol of the deity, and among the ancients was called Ra. I will now take some pictures of the sun appearing in ancient writings, as well as the celestial orb, and not as Ra, the monotheistic symbol. Figure A. This is an 8-rayed sun. This was Mu's symbol on her royal escutcheon. It means a shield. The name in the motherland of the sun as the celestial orb was Kin. In Egypt, the name was Horus. In Greece, Apollo. In Babylonia, Bel-Marduk, etc. Figure B shows a sun with all rays around it, representing the sun at its meridian in the mid-heavens. Figure C is a rising sun with rays. Half of the orb above the horizon was a symbol on the escutcheon of a colonial empire of Mu. Figure D, a sun with half of the orb above the horizon without rays, had a dual symbolism. It was a symbol of the setting sun. It was also the symbol of a colony of Mu before it became a colonial empire. Figure E, the lands of the west in darkness. The three-pointed figure is Mu's numeral symbol as the lands of the west. The sun above the rays says that no light reaches Mu. She is in darkness. A vignette from the Book of the Dead. Figure F, the sacrifice of Mu. The lotus above is Mu's floral symbol. Being shown withered and dying, it symbolizes Mu as being dead. A rayless sun stands between Mu and the altar. Therefore Mu is dead in the region of darkness, on the altar as a sacrifice. Figure G, peaks only remain above the water. Mu is here depicted as being dead and in darkness, with only points or peaks remaining above the water. Kin no longer shines upon her. Vignette from the Egyptian Book of the Dead. The equilateral triangle has dual significance, dependent on where it was and how it was used. Its origin dates back as solving to primitive man the immersion of the three lands which form the land of Mu, the lands of the West. The lands of the west consisted of a huge continental island and two small ones, separated from the big one by narrow seas, called in the Egyptian canals. Tradition says that the big continental island was first emerged, and that the two small islands were subsequently emerged at different periods. It was to explain this phenomena of the three lands coming up at different periods that the triangle was selected. The equilateral triangle has three equal sides joined to one another and forming a single unbroken line without ends. It was pointed out to primitive man that it was the same Creator that raised all three lands, each land being raised by separate commands. Thus, there were not three creators, but only one. Apparently, to make it more understandable, each was raised by a separate attribute. This formed the first triune Godhead, whereon have been built the enormous number of pantheons that have all permeated from the ages. The conception of a triune Godhead has been handed down from the beginnings of religious teachings and still remains with us. An equilateral triangle symbolizes the Creator. As the Creator dwells in heaven, the triangle must necessarily symbolize heaven also, for where the Lord is, there is heaven. I find this verified among the Egyptian symbols, as the glyph shows. Here we find the monotheistic symbol of the deity within the triangle, within heaven. Wherever or whenever the equilateral triangle is met with in the ancient writings or inscriptions, it is either in reference to the triune Godhead or heaven or both. At the time of Confucius, the great Chinese sage, around 500 BC, in place of the triangle the Chinese used a glyph in the form of the present-day capital Y. This they called the Great Term, the Great Unite, the Great Y. The Y has neither shape nor body. All that has a body and shape was made by that which has no shape. The Great Term or the Great Unite comprehends three, one in three and three in one. The four-sided square completes the trilogy of the first and original sacred symbols. The square was selected as the conventional symbol for the earth for apparently two reasons: to prevent it from being confounded with the sun, whose picture was a circle, and for the purpose of teaching primitive man that the cardinal points were north, south, east, and west. Being drawn as a square gave the earth four corners, which were to be explained as the teaching developed. Later the four corners became the positions of the four great pillars, one of the many names given to the four great primary forces which emanate from the Creator. These forces first evolved law and order out of chaos and darkness, then created the bodies of the universe and all therein. They now work and uphold the work that they have accomplished, hence the name of pillars having been given to them. The next step was to appoint keepers for the pillars. These were known as genies. Apparently, when the meanings of the foregoing three symbols were learned by primitive man, his next lesson was the compounding of these three symbols. Figure 1 shows a triangle with three stars. The triangle here symbolizes heaven. The three stars within symbolize the three members of the triune Godhead. The triune Godhead dwells in heaven. Figure 2, a triangle with five stars. The triangle symbolizes heaven again. The five stars within symbolize the full Godhead of five, namely the deity and his great four primary forces or creative forces. The deity and his great forces dwells in heaven. Figure 3, a triangle surmounting a square. This glyph is composed of the four-sided square, the symbol of the earth, with the triangle of the symbol of heaven surmounting it, thus showing heaven above earth. Above, in this case, does not refer to altitude in any way. It means that heaven is on a higher plane, where life is more perfect than here on earth. Thus, this symbol depicts heaven as being more perfect than earth, more blissful and happy. Figure 4, a triangle surmounting a square, and the triangle having three stars within. In this symbol, there is an addition of three stars placed within the triangle, symbolizing that the triune Godhead is in heaven above the earth. This symbol is to be seen at the end wall and the end room of the ancient temple at Shal, Yucatan. This temple has been called the Temple of the Sacred Mysteries because there is an inscription on the wall stating that these people came from Mu and brought the sacred mysteries with them. In the room where this symbol appears, the postulant receives the second degree. The temple was built about 11,500 years ago to 12,000 years ago, as shown by an inscription on its wall which states that this temple was erected as a monument to Mu. Figure 5, a triangle surmounting a square and the triangle having five stars within. As previously stated, five stars symbolizes the full Godhead of five, the deity and his four great primary forces. This symbol is to be seen at the end of the wall of the opposite room to the one previously mentioned in the Temple of the Sacred Mysteries at Shal. Here, the postulant received his third degree, and then was prepared to enter the Holy of Holies. This ends the compounding of the three original symbols, the sacred symbols, the circle, the triangle, the square, and the pentagon,